Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, my people. All right, let's go live here. Let's get Instagram involved. All right, we're live. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday, February 24th, 8 a.m. on the dot. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for being a part of the Sleewa Show. What a fantastic weekend. What a busy weekend. You know, times like this, when you're putting up content, oh, it's easy. Yeah, this is easy. It's just going downhill. I don't have to do anything. I just got to show up to work. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being here. We got a lot to get into today. Lot to get into. I got a feeling today's going to be a very, very busy show. Cheers to everybody this morning. I got some coffee, or I got some tea right here. Already did my coffee. Now I'm moving on tea. I was saying yesterday, for those who are members, I was talking about this yesterday. Got Lent coming up here pretty soon. I think I'm going to give up coffee. That ain't easy for me, but that's kind of the point. It's giving up something that you really like, something that you really love, something that's going to be very difficult to give up. I think I'm going to give up coffee. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm going to try it, and we'll see how it goes. I got a couple really good quotes today, and I said this before. I think I said it last week. If anybody's got a good quote for me, throw it in the chat. Maybe I'll highlight it. Maybe it can help somebody else. So feel free anytime we do this in the morning, you got a quote that you want to throw my way, you can throw my way as well. Let's give you a couple quotes, get into the rundown. We'll start the show, and then we'll keep things moving today. All right, here's one of the quotes. I got two of them here. It says here, we can always start again. We can always start again. I need this one right here. Sometimes we're trying to perfect things. No. Just do it, and then we can always start again. We can always start again. All right, that's one of the quotes here. There's another quote we got here. Be fearless. Know that all will be provided at the right time. Be fearless. Know that all will be provided at the right time. All right, there's a couple quotes for everybody here. All right, we got. Let me give a quick rundown what we got for the show today, and then we'll get the show started. I'll start looking at some of the comments, and we will go from there. Lakers, obviously, the big win on Saturday night in Denver. What a win. What a game. From start to finish, Lakers just dominate against the Denver Nuggets. What's that win represent? As we kind of sit here on Monday morning, what does that win represent? What does it mean exactly? Was it just a kind of an outlier game? How much of a big deal is it? We'll spend a little bit of time on that. JJ Redick was fantastic post-game. I want to play something that Lakers put up yesterday on all their social platforms and basically kind of his speech after the game. Pretty cool. I want to spend a little bit of time on that. Lakers defensively, how sustainable is this? What they were able to do against Nikola Jokic, this kind of small ball lineup that they're going with, the impact of guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt. So we'll spend a little time on that. Last night was, or yesterday in general, was really the entire weekend was really beneficial to the Lakers in the standings. They got a legitimate shot at the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. So we'll take a look at that. Chris McGee, you guys know Chris McGee, Geeter from Spectrum SportsNet. So he does all the pregame work, halftime, post-game on Spectrum SportsNet, does it with a number of different people. Of course, big game James Worthy, Robert Horry, Allie Clifton, a part of the crew, Mike Trudell, Mike Bresnahan. So that entire team that does it there. Chris McGee is going to join us here in about 10 minutes or so. Then we got the weekend recap, and then we are going to call it a day. Today we'll go. We'll be chilling here. We'll be hanging out, and we will go from there. So thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate you guys being here. Let me take a look at a couple of comments here. Morning, Slee. A blessed day. A great show. On my way to Sprouts. Need anything? John, I appreciate that. That's a great question right there. You know what I always get from Sprouts? Sprouts is my favorite grocery store. I just want to throw that out there real quick. I always get the whole chickens from Sprouts. Sprouts are pretty good. Their chickens are pretty good over there. It's pretty damn good. They got those pre-made sandwiches. Well, sometimes I grab one of those and keep it moving. Their salads are pretty solid as well. Their produce is pretty phenomenal. Look at me doing an ad here for Sprouts for free. Great morning to everyone except the jabroni Michael Malone. Still hyped about that chicken nugget beatdown. Let's see what else we got here. Slee is always right on time. I think everybody always says I'm not on time. And I always give everybody OT, and it doesn't mean anything. They're just like, yeah, but he was a minute late. Yeah, but he went 15 minutes past 9 o'clock. Yeah, but he was a minute late. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Keep things going here. Let's see what we got here. Somebody had a quote. Let me read. Somebody had a quote here that I liked. John Ferris, thank you, brother. Says, proud to be a member. Going to give up C's candy for Lamb. Okay, look at you. You're giving up something as well. I don't know if I could find the quote. Somebody had a quote for me. Come back and bring it. I can't find it at this point. All right, let's get the show started. So Lakers go out there and they get the W on Saturday night. And really, I did the post-game show, and then yesterday I kind of followed up with a video as well. I actually did two. I did one for members only, and then I did another one just for everybody else, talking specifically about Luka. What's that W really represent? What does it mean? What does it mean? You know, is it just a win in the regular season, or is it a lot more than that? Let me kind of give you guys my definition of what I walked away with on Saturday night. What I walked away with on Saturday night is it wasn't just a regular win. And I'm not trying to, be overly dramatic here. I'm just kind of giving you guys my opinion of, what the win specifically, how I kind of viewed it. For me, it means the Lakers have a real chance of being a threat in the Western Conference. That's what Saturday night meant to me. Okay. It also means that the Lakers finally beat a team and beat them handily that has absolutely owned them for the last 2 years. And I think gives Laker fans out there this glimmer of hope. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean if they play Denver in the playoffs? Well, really what it means is whatever the past was, don't pay attention to the past, because the team is not the exact same team as it's been over the last few years. So as dominant as Denver has been, this is the first time Denver played the Lakers with this team. It's the first time the Nuggets played the Lakers with Luka Doncic on the team. I'll tell you what else Saturday night at least meant to me. It meant Luka can be the best player on this team right now, hands down, no questions asked, and it doesn't really disrupt what the team's vision is or what their goals can be. It means LeBron can be as dangerous off the ball as he can be on the ball. Saturday night's win, I think, meant a lot of things for me. Now, I'm also going to put things in perspective, and I will obviously mention that it was just one win in the regular season, and really at the end of the day, if they come back and lose a couple of games over this next week, then how much power does that game really have? Obviously, I think that's a little bit different of a conversation, but I think Saturday night's win, if I list out all the things I walked away from the game saying to myself when I'm sitting there on Saturday night or on Sunday, I think the way I just listed it down, it means the Lakers have a chance to be a real threat in the West. It means the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets is not how it's been over the last couple of years. It means Luka can be the best player on the team right now, and it means LeBron can be just as good off the ball as he can be on the ball. Those were some of the things that I walked away with. Now, it is just one game. So, like I said, I think there's a part of me that says you're still going to obviously have to wait to see what exactly this team is. I think you're going to need a sample size. You probably need about 15 games total together to see what this squad is, to have a better idea. And I think the schedule that's going to be coming up is going to be phenomenal, so we can all see it together. And we could see this team when they take on the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow. I mean, that one not as much, but let's see what they are against Minnesota. Let's see what they are when they get Boston again. This time it's going to be on the road. When they get Knicks for another game, 2 games against the Clippers. Let's see what they are versus some upper echelon teams in the Western Conference, some upper echelon teams in the Eastern Conference. I don't want to, overreact too much, but it's really, really difficult to pretend like Saturday night was not a big deal. It felt like a big deal. And I think it was a big deal. So I think however, Laker fans are feeling today, however they felt maybe a couple days ago when Lakers lost to Utah, and then they followed that up with a loss against Charlotte, and Luka Doncic really wasn't aggressive at all. And you're kind of saying to yourself, and people were starting to get on him as well, but you're saying to yourself, you're like, damn, is this guy that out of shape? Is this guy still shell shocked that he got traded from the Dallas Mavericks? And, we're just getting a certain version of Luka Doncic. Well, when's he going to take over the team? Like, this is Luka. This is supposed to be one of the top 5 players in the league. There's a reason why the internet got shook when he got traded to the Lakers. There's a reason why we believed all these things and the hype that was there. Luka, where are you at? And then Saturday, I think, a lot of questions that you had got answered, and there's still going to be a ton more questions. Teams are obviously going to adjust to the Lakers. They're going to figure out, they're going to have more and more data. How do you guard this team? What do you do when Luka's the head of the stake? What do you do when Luka goes to the bench? I mean, teams are going to, obviously make adjustments, but it's very, very difficult to walk away on Saturday night not feeling a certain way about this Lakers team, even though there's a lot more basketball left to be played, even though there's a lot more of the season that's left. But to just pretend like that was one game, I have a very difficult time doing that. One man's opinion there, but I really do have a difficult time doing that. I want to play something here for you guys here real quick, because I did mention, I think this is going to be part of before I get Chris McGee on here. There was a post game. Let me wait here for a quick second. Post game, there was JJ Redick, and it was on a lot of these social platforms. And I want to play this here. JJ had a really, really cool speech. I want to play this for everybody. I think you guys are all going to enjoy it. Take a listen if you guys haven't got a chance to watch this yet.
This morning, we talked about going to war. Be willing to die on the court. All right. I was so amped today. I should have been able to take a nap. I couldn't sleep last night. I was up till 5 a.m. I couldn't even nap today. Pre-game, I'm laying on the floor doing my breathing exercise. I'm envisioning what our team is going to play like. And you guys went even higher. You went even higher. And frankly, our conviction and our belief in the game plan, the bench was great. Everybody contributed. Luka, it's good to have you back. Yes, it's good to have you back. First team on defense. First team on defense. Rui, Vando, Doe, Bron, all you guys that were primarily, you were on 3 possessions, whatever. Everybody that was on Jokic was awesome tonight. That was great. Last thing. Talk all season long about our belief and our conviction. Okay. Hope that was fun. If we play that hard for the rest of the regular season, we're going to be just fine. That should build your belief. It built my belief in what we can accomplish. All right. It was awesome. Let's go.
All right. That was JJ from right after the game on Saturday. So, hey, listen, cool moment, kind of phenomenal. And he's been phenomenal all season long. I think a lot of people are starting to give him a lot more credit, because I think he deserves as much credit as possible for what he's been able to do. And listen, I see some of the comments in here. Some people are saying that OKC is going to blow them out, or they don't stand a chance for some of these other elite teams. And we're all going to have to wait to see, right? Like, I think none of us know what this team is, but none of us have got a chance to see the real Luka Doncic at his absolute best, and what that can look like in a 7-game set with Luka, with LeBron, with a coach in JJ Redick that I think everybody would agree has done just an unbelievable job. I mean, how good has JJ Redick been this season? So just kind of giving you guys a taste of that and getting a little bit of a to play that post-game clip where he's talking about his own belief and the team's belief and everybody else. I mean, it's just, I just, again, I have a difficult time pretending like Saturday night's win without trying to overreact. It's very difficult not to overreact a little bit. That's as big of a win gets. And, obviously, like I mentioned from the beginning, this is it's kind of an interesting time because we don't have crazy amount of data on what this team is, only 4 games with Luka, but it's really tough not to be excited about where some of the potential that this team has. I want to welcome into the show here. He's a man that needs no introduction. He's a man that still uses the cords on the headphones, which a lot of respect there. I like that. You don't have to worry about charging any of this stuff.
Nope.
No. You don't got time for that. That's really what it comes down to. Chris McGee, Spectrum SportsNet. Geeter, what's going on, brother? Good morning.
So how are you, brother? Actually, my AirPods are being sent to me.
What do you mean?
Well, I lost them.
Oh, okay.
So I got some AirPods on the way. So that's why I'm using this guy.
No, but this can I tell you something? Here's the honest truth here. The cords, they're better. Like I don't use them as much, but they're better. As in,
archaic,
I feel like
apparently.
Archaic, definitely. It's like me going on a run and taking a CD player.
Yeah.
I'll do that too. I will do that. Good morning, buddy. How are you doing?
Buddy? That was a fun win, wasn't it?
Okay, let me ask you this question. Thank you, by the way, for joining the show. This is
your 90, hold on, I'm gonna prop up a book here. Get me a little high. Is this your 98th show or 99th or what do we got?
This is 98th right now.
Yeah. I
98.
knew I wouldn't be invited to the 100th, but yeah.
First off, wait, you do remember you were 50. You were number 50 on the list too.
Wow, man, shows are flying by, buddy.
They are flying by. And when you came on the first time, first off, let me just mention, let's forget about what happened on Saturday here for a quick second. This is more important. People are more here for this portion of it. Do you remember when you came on and we talked about defensive stances and defensive positions at halftime when you're doing the show with Worthy and with Rob and with Brez and everything else?
Right.
Can I just give you, and I know we've talked off air and everything else, bro, you went into like a week of just straight defensive positions.
Box outs, closeouts, fighting in the post, defensive slides. I did a lot of defense. Taking a charge once. I did a lot of people. A lot of people in the comments were like, "This guy just became Vando or Dorian Finney-Smith." Like there was no offense anymore. You just went straight D. I have like 3 friends in my life that it's so funny. I don't see them all the time, but when I do, they will always talk about going to halftime. I mean, at halftime when we're going to break, and I just love it because at least someone's watching, number one. But it's just I just love that there's a couple people that in big games always like, man, people love that. People love that. It's pretty funny.
No, you're a defensive stopper. Your footwork is on point.
Footwork's on point.
Yeah, the way you pivot left and right. I haven't seen anything like that since Gary Payton.
I'll tell you this: when Rob is there on the show, and I try to get physical. He's a large man. He is a large man, and I think I want that smoke, but I really don't. When it comes down to it, I've realized. And there's a couple times where they both like all of a sudden want to trap me when there's like 20 seconds left on the show, and those are big bodies.
Well, and there's also, you're talking about 2 guys that got a lot of championships in between them. They got pride too.
Yeah, there's 10,
so they're not
10 rings.
Just 10 championships.
There's
no big
10
deal.
10 rings on that set. I always think James
deal.
has more. I think James is pissed he doesn't have more. 3 is awesome, but he doesn't forget 84.
Okay,
he still devastated by 84. He also threw a ball away in 84, which has always haunted him. He said 89.
That's right, against the Celtics.
Yeah, 84 Celtics to go up 2-0. 89 when you never know what was going to happen because the Pistons were about to arrive at their time. Remember, we beat them in 7 and 88. But in 89, the Lakers were playing as well as they had played during that three-peat. They were undefeated, and Riles took them up to Montecito, to the college up there.
Oh, is this the 2-a-days?
And man, that would just never happen today. But you lose Byron and Magic in that series against Detroit. You lose in 4, but all those games were pretty close. And then, we didn't have big game in 91 against the Bulls. So that hurt.
Every time Michael Thompson tells a story, and kind of the same way that you described it.
Yeah.
They had gone through, I think they swept every round before the Pistons.
They were undefeated.
They were undefeated.
Yeah.
So they had so much time
yeah.
in between when the
days.
Western Conference Finals ended and whatever. So Pat Riley started two-a-days. Started going two-a-days.
Yep. Up there at the college. There's a Christian college up there in Montecito.
Yep. Okay.
Now, by the way, I got a nice reminder this morning that I was going on your show from Big Baby Jonathan, by the way.
Okay.
Who does the podcast as well and is working
Yes,
hard
absolutely.
And, he's doing great. But yeah, so it was nice.
He's a hard worker. And he's always kind of a part of these platforms here. He's always joining some of these shows. Okay, here's my initial question to you. You walk away before the game Saturday, Lakers taking on Denver.
Yep.
5:30 tip. The Nuggets have owned the Lakers.
13-14.
13-14. We know how great Jokic is. This is a team that's just last 2 years, Lakers have had no chance against them. But it's the first time they're playing with Luka on the Los Angeles Lakers, representing the Lake Show. The way you felt before the game started and how you felt after, like what did Saturday night's win mean to you? What did it do? And I'm trying not to overreact, but it's also a little bit difficult not to overreact.
It's funny because there's two sides to this story. I remember when the Lakers beat the Celtics and handled them, and the way they played defense and the way they kind of owned them in that matchup. It's like a month ago or whatever. The storyline was, the Celtics are on a long road trip and played the night before, even though half their starters didn't play. So I always feel like when the Lakers get these big wins, there's an excuse to not want to put them in the upper echelon, right? Because it goes both ways. You can lose games and they're not as meaningful because it's regular season. But sometimes I put a lot of weight into wins, and I feel a lot different than I did before Saturday night than I do after, because we had not really seen what it could look like yet with Luka because of the newness of it. Luka, I think, getting adjusted, Luka not feeling 100% healthy. And let's be honest, like, the man got put through it, and there had to be a grace period there. And I think Luka was putting on his best face. I think he was being so nice, and I think he was really appreciative of LA and the fans and how everyone was embracing him. But that was really hard what he went through. 25-year-old, prime of his life, top 3 player in the league, middle of the night, being traded, had no clue. And then to be crapped on the way out by the people who raised him was tough. That's just me. That's just my thoughts. Like, we have to give this man some grace period. Then you're playing the Denver Nuggets, who just every single time we play them, it's just a matchup nightmare. You could go to the year before in the Western Conference Finals when they sweep the Lakers and it's just dominant, and then the regular season and just piling, just whenever they want to turn it on, they turn it on. They can play like crap and end up beating the Lakers in the fourth. Then you can go to last year's playoff series where I think the Lakers were ahead 140 minutes of the 100 and whatever total minutes. But they found a way to win in the end. And then you had KCP after the series saying, there's no way we should have beat them. But they just kind of own them. Well, this year was this game was different because where the advantages used to be for the Nuggets, they all of a sudden weren't there anymore. And offensively, we just were so great spacing, and we had so many playmakers. And with the offense kind of running through Luka, it freed up AR and LeBron a lot more. But for me, it was more defensively, the way we were able to throw different bodies at Jokic.
Sure.
Get the ball out of his hands. All of a sudden, MPJ was not prime Ray Allen every single time he shot the ball. Length all over him. Murray not able to operate like he could. And listen, I'm not throwing shade or anything, so please don't take this out of context. But that team we used to have that would lose to Denver, they had a different way of attacking us. They would attack AR and D'Lo. They would hunt. All of a sudden, you can't do that with Gabe and Vando and Dorian Finney-Smith. They're just a little tougher in terms of the way they can stop the ball. I don't know. We're just a much grittier team than I think we were back in the Western Conference Finals. Give a lot of props to Rui, who has really bought into this role of being a bigger body, being physical and rebounding. And maybe you don't score, maybe you do. When he adds the scoring, it's an extra plus on top. But the way we kicked their ass at their place just felt like, man, I know it's only late February. I know it doesn't mean anything come playoff time, but it did to me. And it meant that the Lakers are there. They are a top 4 team in the West. They are a top 5 team in the West. They are above the line. They're going to stay above the line. And they are a team that can contend, and they can beat you. And that's what it showed me. Yeah,
it's by the way, it's a great way of putting it, because I think the game needs context. It needs a little story behind it. It needs
not?
But it needs the history that you were giving it, what it looked like before versus what it looked like on Saturday. Here's a reality, and I think we're still trying to figure out a lot more about what this team is.
Yeah,
we don't have any data on this new team. All we know is that one of the best players in the world just joined the Los Angeles Lakers, and structurally and foundationally of how you were winning before, or not even how you were winning, how you were walking into a game before is completely different. Lakers didn't just, I mean, if you swap out a superstar like Anthony Davis was, and you put in a 25-year-old superstar, but they don't play anything, they play completely different. Any matchup that you have history with, like, you got to kind of throw everything out the door.
By the way, you just nailed what I was going to say next. Like, I always look, football.
But I said it. But I just want you to know.
By the way, you nailed it. Matchups are really big in sports, and it's interesting when I go back to that Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs. We should have known that was going to be. Now, I didn't think it was going to be a blowout for the Eagles, but there was no way that going into that game, no way did I say the Chiefs are blowing out the Eagles, because I've watched that matchup over a couple of years. They played in the Super Bowl, they played in the regular season, and the Eagles' defensive line and what they can do. You kind of knew that could be a great game. Lakers matchup-wise are different than they used to be with this personnel. So I don't know how we match up with OKC. I really don't, because last year I thought we matched up pretty damn well with OKC, but we didn't match up well with some other teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how that changes as we play these teams, Alan, because sometimes the AD matchup was huge for us, and even Max, right? But now we can play a different style. We can go the small ball 5. We can go with Jackson Hayes. We can throw in a Jemison and Koloko. But it just showed me that, man, the pendulum has swung a little bit, and now teams have to kind of figure out how to beat the Lakers and how to guard the Lakers. And all of a sudden, the Lakers are, listen, JJ's got amazing schemes defensively. It doesn't mean you always execute them, but they're on point. Go look at some of those games, man. Listen, when the Clippers kicked the Lakers' ass, they played such good defense. They were in drop coverage. They Zoo did such a good job on AD. Remember when they played them the next time without Luka, without AD, without Max, and the Lakers took it to them? Lakers played great defense. You started to see, like, man, the schemes are right. If they execute, they're in every game. I saw it against Boston. I saw it against the Nuggets. So here's the difference for me now. This team has, and I say this because when we're doing those pregame shows, there's always the stats of, like, in the beginning, they're 9-1 versus teams below 500, but they're only 3-8 versus teams above 500. That is completely switching. So the Lakers are beating good teams. They're beating good teams. And they've buried good teams. Buried Boston. Buried the Nuggets. Buried the Clippers. So for me, like,
the Knicks on the road.
Knicks, thank you. The Knicks, I mean, they
Pacers without, and Pacers are playing good ball. Pacers without, that's the AR game for 45.
45, that's without Luka and LeBron. And by the way, the Pacers, I think, going into that game were, Allen, or maybe 9-2 of their last 11. Like, they were the hottest team at the time. Nuggets had won 9 in a row. So if you're a Laker hater, you can throw out all the, it doesn't matter, second night of a back-to-back, all that BS. This guy was hurt. Listen, the Lakers have beaten good teams, and they've beaten them handily because they're executing on both ends of the floor. That has to mean something, right? That has to mean something.
It's funny. I was reading a Knicks had lost yesterday. Maybe it was to Boston or something like that. And the big storyline around the Knicks right now is how they basically can't beat elite teams. And instantly, and I think they're 6-11 against teams over 500. It was something like that. One of those stats. I'm like, yeah, that was the Lakers. There was always hesitation. It's like, all right, well, what does it help if you're beating these bad teams? And you're supposed to beat the bad teams.
Yeah.
But against the good teams, can you go around 500? And now all of a sudden you look at your schedule and you're like, wow, you're 10, 12, 15 games over 500, whatever it is. But you're right that has flipped. And the way it's flipped, it's so odd. Because like you mentioned, these are games without AD and Max Christie, or these are games without Luka, or these are games without LeBron. Yeah. And then I thought Saturday night was one of the first games where it's like, we got all our best guys. They got all their best guys.
They're at home and rested.
They're at home and rested. It's against Denver. This is a team that's owned the Lakers. And, that obviously walked away from tip all the way to the end, really controlling the game. Okay, I want to switch
real quick, Alan.
Yeah.
Did you ever in that game think like you used to thought where you were like, here comes Denver? I've never had that feeling.
Okay, can I tell you?
I had that feeling for 14 times in a row that we played them.
let me tell you what happened. Okay, so at halftime, the game was obviously nationally televised, right? So at halftime, Bob Myers had mentioned, he had said something to the effect of, Lakers always lead at halftime against Denver. So that kind of put it in my head for a second. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. They always lead at halftime. Anyways, point I'm trying to make here, instantly Denver went on a run and got it down to 1. If you remember in the third quarter.
You're right.
Got it down to 1. And LeBron was asked about this post-game, obviously on Spectrum, but he was asked about this post-game. And I think I thought that was the most important moment of the game, because if you're a Laker fan out there, you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, here we go again. They just had an 8-point lead at halftime, or 9, but Luka got the technical, so they took the free throw. And then before you know it, it went down to 1. And then before you know it, a couple of threes goes in, Luka hits a corner 3, and then it's back up to 10 or 11. And it's like, no, I don't think they're going to hand this one away the way they have in the past. And it almost got it almost to Denver's psyche as well. It was kind of like, no, wait, we're supposed to just come back, because we always do that against the Lakers. So that was the only point where I had some doubt.
Point. So I got to ask you a question, because I happen to not be working on Saturday. And on occasion, AJ, our boss, AJ, he'll on a national game, because we don't do halftime and it's on the road. So Brez and Allie, me, Jay, like sometimes I'm out, Allie could do both shows. So I look on the schedule like on Thursday. I'm like, I'm off Saturday. So my wife and 2 other moms and their daughters, all the little daughters, they went to Palm Desert for a couple of days. So just myself and my older daughter were here this weekend. So the other 2 dads, we got together on Saturday at my buddy's house. He's got a great backyard. I mean, I'm doing the sauna, I'm doing the cold plunge, we're barbecuing steaks. We got our mutual buddy Matt Unger is there, Matteo, his son Shiloh. So there's 5 of us, And I'm watching that game, and I'm having drinks, and I'm having the best time ever. And they were all laughing the next day, because they thought I was like this giddy little kid. I was laughing. I was loud. I was hitting him every time we hit a shot. I was so excited. And I'm like, I texted the guys. I go, it's been 13 years since I've watched a fun Laker game with my friends. I was trying to remember the last time I've been like kind of raging and having a great time watching a Laker game. Is that how it always is? Or no, that was just a special Saturday.
Well, and then if I understand correctly, you ended up at a Irish pub that didn't close till 4 a.m. They were actually watching Premier League games. You were watching
it was going.
Arsenal and Man U.
Yes, nonstop.
But I think a lot of people felt what you felt.
Okay, it was
because absolutely. Like I think there was. First off, the setup was there, and it was kind of exciting just because you're getting to see Luka in an atmosphere that we haven't seen yet. And this is actually where I was going to go with it too.
That was big for me.
That's the part, right?
That's the part.
Wasn't it the piece of one of my favorite things to watch with Luka in the past when he was in Dallas, right? Is when Luka goes into one of those modes and he kind of, Luka, why are you pulling up for a step back 25-footer? Oh, because you're Luka Doncic. That's right. That's why.
We hadn't had that moment yet, though.
Or when he starts running his mouth and all that stuff, it looked like, oh, yeah, that's Luka. Remember the guy with the Dallas Mavericks who was there for 7 years, was first team All-NBA for 5s, was just in the NBA Finals 8 months ago. That was Luka. So I think part of what you're talking about, too, was also this wasn't just a regular win. This was the superstar that the Lakers got gift wrapped. I mean, however you want to put it, got gift wrapped, is a Laker now, and then was also having one of those games on the road.
It's so, you just, for me, nailed it. Like, that's what was so fun to finally see Luke. Not finally, he's only been here a little bit, but to see him in that mode in our uniform against a team that's haunted us, and him dominating and talking smack and doing the step back threes. And that's what was so funny. And that's what we were laughing about the next day. He was doing that. I was literally hitting Matteo like all the time. And I was laughing, and I think like it was because I'm like, oh my God, this guy's on our team. There's a text chain I was on yesterday where one of my buddies just so randomly out of nowhere, it's like 8:00 at night, just texts 3 of us. He goes, hey guys, quick reminder, Luka Doncic is a Laker. Like, it's just like that. We finally had that moment, right? That's a big part of it. That is a big part of it.
When you, because I think Luka, when he's hitting that step back over Christian Brown and he's hitting, and he's running his mouth and everything else, kind of reminds me of you when you're on the set sometimes. There's a couple times I've been in there where you just kind of, you kill it in a segment, and then as we're going to commercial break, you're running your mouth at a lot of people like, can't do it like this, guys. You just can't do it like this.
Listen, when you're doing a Tuesday show in August or a Thursday non-game night show in February, you have to at times let it go.
Sure. Yep.
You got to have some fun with it. And sometimes you hit it out of the park. Sometimes you don't. But when you do feel it, it's okay to let people know.
Sure.
It's okay to let people know. When I did the Access 360 breakdown, finally in the game night, not that long ago, Alan, don't know if you saw it. Rob and James were all saying, that's it. We're never doing it again. And you know what I said? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Because I'm actually the host, and I'm going to make you go up there. And you know what? I'm never doing it again. How about that? Suck on that. I'm the boss today. So that's what you're talking about. But I did it once to show you all, I can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Geeter, what do you make of, over the weekend we got a chance. It's kind of a lot of teams almost in support of the Lakers here, at least in the Western Conference. You go look at the standings here for a quick second.
A lot of guys lost, buddy.
A lot of guys lost.
That we needed.
I think what's fascinating here, let's just look at the loss column here for a quick second. So Memphis has 20 losses.
Yep.
Denver has 20. Lakers have 21.
21.
So, and Rockets are right in the mix here too, but Rockets
22.
have also 3-7 in their last 10 games. So they're going in the wrong direction. Clippers have lost 5, or they've lost 2 in a row, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. Minnesota's lost 2 in a row. So there's a little bit of a cushion here, which I know Lakers are not accustomed to, being in this kind of comfortably top 5 in the Western Conference. What do you make of just, I guess I'm curious, how important to you is the standings or being top 4 or top 3, or is it more just, hey, as long as the Lakers are gelling and they get some, time to figure out how they can mix? I'm just curious to your thoughts on the standings and where they're sitting.
It matters to me because I feel like they've taken a big step this year, and you need to finish it. And that means be above the line. Now, obviously, I don't want to be 6 because then you open on the road, but I'll take it. I need them to be out of the play-in game this year because they've been in it for the last 3 seasons. Don't want them there anymore. They've had a way better season than that. And they've given themselves this cushion because they've taken care of a lot of those teams that we were talking about up below 500 early on in the year. Those wins matter. I care. When I know the tip off for me, Alan, that shows me standings matter to me is when I care on a Sunday night about OKC and Minnesota because I want Minnesota to lose because I want that cushion to grow even more. When I'm checking the Pacer Clipper score, because everyone who knows me knows I don't watch Clipper games. I won't even turn on the TV unless they're losing at the end. Then I love to watch it. And by the way, I have a lot of respect for them. They're really good, but that's how I feel. We have a thing, me and the Clippers, and it's just how I roll with them. As great as they are, I'll listen. Great owner, great reader. Real happy for him. I'm not watching them, but I'm looking at that score because I know they're right behind us, and I know we're playing them twice.
Sure.
Right. So I'm looking at that game. I'm looking at the Cleveland score yesterday. Those games are all of a sudden very meaningful when you're looking at the landscape of where we are, because I know 27 games, 28 games sounds like a lot. It's not when you're chasing 4 or 5 games like we have in the past 3 games. It's not a lot because teams have to remember when we were always like, we're only 3 games behind the 6th spot or 3.5 games behind the 6th spot or the 7th spot. That's where we were. It's a lot. Yeah,
you need a lot to go your way.
You actually got to be over 500 by about 6-7 games, and they need to be, under. So now we're building that cushion. And I know the road ahead is very tough. So if you can build a little cushion, you're allowing yourself to have a little slip up here and there. But to answer your question, like, the standings matter to me. They do. It's what makes it fun. When I'm not watching them, it's usually not great news. I probably look at them more than most people. I know you and me both do. We've talked about this so many times off air and when we're together. Like, I remember when you come on the show, you and I, like, we're the 2 guys that are always like, dude, there's 37 games left. And, we're very dialed into the standings. But Alan, I can't lie to you. I want a home series. I want it. I want to open it freaking home. I want a top 4 seed. And by the way, there's 2 losses that haunt me still, Alan. And you could go through the whole season, and we don't have a lot of them. Orlando at home when Wagner hits the 3.
Sure, up 4 with 16 seconds to go.
Because the game was over.
Yeah,
the game was over.
Yeah.
And I forget the AD missing free throws. Was that the game?
Yeah, they went. And it's funny that we both know this detailed. They went 3 of 9 from the free throw line in the 4th quarter.
Thank you. That's the game.
Yep.
That game haunts me because it was a win. And then Charlotte this past week because Charlotte sucked in that game. They didn't play well. So you give me those 2, we're all of a sudden a 2 seed. That to me is mind blowing. You win those 2 games, we're at 19 losses.
But I agree with you on I haven't really thought of it that way. I think it's you've had this mentality of just staying out of the play-in that you almost forget. Yeah, how about just starting a series at home? How about just being when's the last time? And I know it's probably not too crazy, but probably was it Lakers Suns? Maybe I know maybe Suns even had home. I can't remember when it was 2020 or 2021. Obviously 2020, you're in the bubble, but I'm just trying to think here. You're right. Like, imagine starting a 7-game set, and let's just say you're the 4 seed, and Houston's coming to you, and all right, let's go to work. Or you're number 3 seed, whatever the case is, and you got Clippers in the first round. I don't know if that will ever happen, but just having a home. You're right about.
You tell me the last time, because I know you'll figure it out. 2020, we were in the bubble. That was the problem. 2021, LeBron's hitting the miracle shot to Steph. Right, we're the 7th seed. Remember, we were the number 1 team. We were 21-6, bubble shortened season. 21-6, number 1 in the league. Solomon Hill, then on LeBron. AD goes down. We end up being up 2-1 as a 7th seed against Phoenix. Phoenix goes to the finals, by the way, and lose.
And end up losing that.
2022, we don't make it. 23, we go in all the way to the Western Conference Finals, but we had to win a play-in game. We had to win a play-in game last year. We have not had an opening round series, dude, since 12.
Oh, my.
It has not been in our network.
God.
I've been at the network 13 years. We have not opened at home. It was the year before when I was at Fox Sports, and the Lakers were there.
Praise the Lord to the playing tournament.
Praise the Lord Jesus, and we need to get that 4 seed. I want to open at home.
Yeah, here's the good news. The good news is,
and I'm sorry for all you young Laker fans. Sorry to cut you off, Alan. For all you guys that don't really remember, maybe you were young back then, dude. Alan and I grew up and it was inconceivable that you weren't at home for the first 2 rounds at least. Right? You can't even remember a time. Every year, it was just a guarantee we were going to be at home for a couple of rounds, right?
Yeah, it's funny. So
our fans deserve this. The newer fans deserve this.
Here's what's funny. What's funny is there was let me just kind of think here. If you think back in like the mid '90s, right, when it's Cedric Ceballos and Nick Van Exel, and that kind
of dark years,
that kind of era of Lakers basketball, which believe it or not was kind of like my heart of the era. I was like the biggest Eldon Campbell guy. But right after that, it was like, okay, now it was Kobe, it was Shaq, D. Fish gets drafted, all that stuff. You're right. You go through the stretch where without all those play-ins.
What you're talking about is a 2-year stretch, by the way, because 40 out of 42 years, there was a window there where the Lakers were in the playoffs.
Sure.
40 of 42. So it's like a 2-year stretch where they kind of struggled. And even those teams with Club Set and Nicky V and Eldon, they still battled. And were in the hunt. They just weren't like at home. They were like losing to Phoenix and 7, and you know what I mean. So there was,
and it was like, where is this franchise going? Just not being in there for 2 years. It was like obviously a travesty. Did you get a chance to hear JJ in his little post presser that minute?
I sent that around.
Okay, let me just ask you this on JJ.
Yeah,
he gets hired as a coach of the Lakers. We don't really have anything to go off of JJ. He has not been a college coach. He has not been an NBA coach. I'm sure you've interacted with him plenty of different times.
Yeah.
What you thought he could potentially be in the NBA and what he already has become in the NBA this quick.
Yeah.
How much of this is just kind of what do you make of how he's started as a head coach?
Man,
pretty special.
Pretty special. This is the first Laker head coach that I can remember that I don't have a personal relationship with. You'd have to go back to like before I was even in the business, like Del Harris. Okay. Because I covered Phil for a long time. Got to know Mike Brown and D'Antoni really well because it was our network, and and then obviously Luke and Byron, personal friends. And then I got to know Frank. I love Frank Vogel, man. Like, such a great dude. And Darvin. So I got had their phone numbers, like that kind of stuff. I have zero relationship with JJ. Talked to him just a few times. We talked about the Pally Strong. Friends were making the Pally Strong sweatshirts, gave him that. So what I always thought about JJ, like when he was Duke and a player, never played for the Lakers. He played for the Clippers, like respected him, of course. When I really started to like him, which was hard for me, was just because I didn't know him at all. And it was like he was just this never on the Lakers kind of guy, and the Duke who I never rooted for, was his podcast. I started listening to his podcast when he was with the Clippers. He started his podcast, and he was great. And then when he went to TV, he became good friends with Richard Jefferson. So I'd always hear good things about JJ. So I always started to, you start to listen to JJ in a different way, and he's not playing anymore. And he just always sounded so smart. So like when they hired him, I was actually, because I have a lot of friends who doubted that move. I actually was like, I could see it working. Like, I think he could be a great coach. I didn't have anything to go off of except listening to him talk, knowing about his work ethic from people that I talked to, and knowing how what a basketball savant he was. So I learned really quick, I would say in the first few weeks of training camp, that he had unlimited potential as a coach, because the things he cared about, the things he was great about, and I noticed it from day one, the attention to detail, the accountability, the biggest one for me, communication. His ability to communicate with a player or anyone else, I thought was pretty elite for someone who had never coached outside of his boys' 9-year-old basketball team. He was very time-oriented. I noticed right away, like if I'm going to be there at 11:32 to do this interview with Spectrum, then I'm there at 11:32, and at 11:37 I'm gone because I'm on to the next thing. And he's going to hold the players to that same lane. And that part led me to believe that he could be a really good coach. Now, I coached for 30 years, Alan, volleyball and basketball. volleyball for the whole time. Basketball was Campbell Hall for about an 8-year stretch, and then a place called Wildwood. So, but volleyball I coached forever. So, and I was only at the juniors level, high school level. So for me, like, that's not professional. That's not college. But in my world, it was important, and you put just as much time and effort into it as you would a college. Like, we cared. Like, we were going after national championships. Like, that mattered. So I always look at coaches and listen to coaches and look at them in a way of like how I did when I was coming up as a coach. Because that's what I always thought I would do. Way before TV, I always thought I was going to be a coach. So all those things that I saw in JJ, I was like, he has a lot of the intangibles. He has a lot of the stuff on your resume that can make you a great coach. Now you get to the management stuff and the handling of the press and the way he can get players to buy in, the adjustments he made, not being afraid to put D'Lo to the coming off the bench and move this guy into the starting. Like, that to me showed me right away, like, dude, he knows what he's doing. He doesn't matter if he's a rookie or not. I mean, he's got it. And it's funny, like, watching his schemes from game to game, watching, like I said, how the Clippers manhandled the Lakers, to then fast forward 2 weeks, the adjustment the Lakers made, that's coaching. And that's what you might not see when you're just watching the game. But when I see teams adjusting, buying in, executing, the coach deserves some credit. If the coach is going to get crapped on all the time when the team misses all their shots, then the coach should get some credit when they play great. Because we both know it lies there in the middle, right? The players matter, but coaches can put you in the right spot. Coaches can get you to buy in. Coaches can scheme, and coaches can manage the game. He is, to me, if it wasn't for Kenny in Cleveland, if it's not for the run OKC's on, he's right in the pocket for Coach of the Year.
I'll tell you this. I'll say that. And by the way, just to have him, I think, in that conversation is important to me. Like, just, okay, he just doesn't have to win Coach of the Year. It's fine. Have him in that chat. Just recognize.
It means you're having a great year.
Recognize what he's been able to accomplish. And I think what you said about, I've tried to, mention this a few times on the show. I think the thing that I like most about him, I feel like he's not married to anything. And I think there are times where you get coaches, they get super stubborn, or they say, I'm going to make this work. Like you mentioned the D'Lo as an example, right? Okay, you know what? He's in the starting lineup. Let me take him out of the starting lineup. A lot of people, including myself, was kind of questioning, well, how are you going to use Austin Reeves now that you have Luka? Should he be in the starting lineup? Do you want to come a little bit more defensive? Put Dorian Finney-Smith there and use Austin Reeves off the bench, whatever the case is. But where I've stopped everybody is like, well, we got a coach that is going to try it out. And based on what, like, how great of a feeling is that, knowing that, well, let JJ figure it out. We all think we're GMs and coaches and everything else. It's like, yeah, but don't you have confidence that JJ Redick knows what he's doing? And that kind of shuts up everybody else. It's like, yeah, you're right.
It's the best, man. Like, to be able to, like, not worry about that part of the game. I know it from my own experiences. Like, when my daughters have coaches that I love and I respect, I don't have to ever question one thing. That is a beautiful thing. I'm with you. Like, I remember a long, long time ago, I was a young coach. My buddy Tim Jensen, we used to coach volleyball together. We ran a club and girls. And I'll never forget watching the great Al Skates, who's won like 17 national championships with UCLA men's volleyball. He's retired. But I remember watching a Final Four once with men's volleyball. UCLA was in it, and it was late 90s. And I watched him make a move in the semifinal. They were down 2-1. And it's a best out of 5. And he made a move. I couldn't believe it. Like, sub someone out, sub someone in, brought in a freshman to do something, and it worked. And they ended up winning in 5, and then they won the next night the national championship. And I never forget telling Tim, like, Al Skates makes moves and takes risks on the biggest stage. That's why he's won. He's won so many national championships. He can do that. When you haven't won anything, you're usually scared. Like you said, you're married to certain things. You're afraid to make those changes. What I was so impressed with JJ early on was exactly what you talked about. Like, we're going to do this. And if it doesn't work, I'll pivot and do that. But I believe in Max, even though he hasn't had a great start to the season. That's my guy that's going to fit with these guys because he's going to guard the best player. And then it's going to free up Austin Reeves. And now it's going to even allow AD to, like, he had that going and he made that move. And you know what? D'Lo, I love you, but I want you to buy in because we're going to need you to cook off the bat. Like, man, to make that move as a young coach, a rookie coach, it's not easy.
For the Lakers.
Take risks.
And the Laker coach. Right, like
the Laker coach,
a lot of
who's
this
under
stuff,
the spotlight at all times,
and that's what I mean, right? A lot of the stuff, maybe you're more apt to say, okay, well, I'll try this in Charlotte, or I'll try this. Well, I'll just try it where there aren't expectations. It's like the Lakers the expectations are always delusional, right? That just kind of comes with the territory. But he's done this obviously as the coach of the Lakers. Okay, final one I got for you here, and then I'm going to leave you the hell alone because I know you're a busy man, and you told me. You're so like, busy, listen, starting at 9 o'clock, I think 9 to 10, you just do abs, right?
I just do abs.
9 to 10, just abs.
Yeah. I'm going to cold plunge. I'm going to sauna. I'm going to jump in the ocean. I got all that stuff planned today.
Okay,
I'm still trying to find the abs, though. I don't know why they haven't shown up in a while.
I've known for a while that they're not.
Yeah.
Other people have them. I have not been privileged to have them.
One peeks out on occasion.
Good for you. That's great.
Yeah.
I'll take one. What are you hoping to see here? We got kind of a stretch here where
it's tough stretch.
And I'm not even talking about, I don't really think I'm even referring to wins and losses. I think some of the exciting Saturday was exciting because we kind of really didn't know what to expect. And here you got a stretch. Look, Dallas is beat up, so they should win tomorrow. But you're going to also just start playing games when you get a chance at Minnesota, Clippers twice, Boston pretty soon at Boston. You get the Knicks again. Milwaukee's coming up over the next 30 days. Yeah. What are you hoping to see from this team over this stretch of games where the competition is going to be pretty consistently tough?
Continued continuity, like continuing the strong play, like where they figure out roles, where they figure out Luka dynamic, and just, it's like you said, obviously you're not going to go out and win every single game, but I would love for them to get through this pretty brutal stretch with still a cushion of 3 or 4 games. Like you have to split with the Clippers. Yeah. Because if you split with the Clippers, then it evens it out.
It's a wash.
If you sweep the Clippers, that's a wash. If you sweep the Clippers, now you're in the driver's seat.
You got 2 more against Denver in the next couple of weeks.
Those are big. Like those are games where you can't, when you go to Boston and Milwaukee, can you win one of those? You go to Denver, you got to win one. Yeah, you play Denver twice, you got to win one of those. You got to beat Minnesota. Like those kind of things start to matter to me, like winning at home. So, you're going to have some bad games, but it's funny, Alan. We've had, I don't know, I remember in the last couple of years, we've been in such a different position. Ever since the All-Star break and the trade deadline, the Lakers have been charging and having to almost play perfect basketball to get to that 7 seed or get to that 8 seed.
That's right.
Now, but they've had that attention to detail and that sense of urgency. I hope they still kind of have that sense of urgency, if that makes sense, even though they don't have to have it. But I think the goals should be top 4. So don't let up is my only thing. Like, you know who's huge in all this? Jackson Hayes, man. Like, the only thing I keep thinking about is a little bit of lack of depth at that spot. And you don't have, I'm looking at the Dallas bench and 4 of those guys are hurt. I'm like, can we just get one of them? Right? Like,
sure.
Gafford, Lively, AD, they're all out. So for me, like, Jackson Hayes is huge. He doesn't have to give us 40 minutes a night. He just doesn't. He's got to give you 20, and he's got to defend. He's got to catch lobs. He's got to get some block shots. He's got to be active, and he's got to be healthy. Because then you can go small ball for another 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You can throw a Jemison or a Koloko in there. Alex Len, I'd like to see a little more from him. But, you can throw a big body out there and get by. So, the depth is the only thing to me. Like, I want to see us with all of our pieces as much as possible. And I know Vando's going to take some nights off, right? But I want Finney Smith and I like seeing our collective group playing together more often, if that makes sense. That's kind of my number one goal.
Well, I like I don't think they're going to have an issue with the sense of urgency you're talking about, because I think part of that will have to do with JJ. I think part of that will have, but I think part of it will also to do, they have such limited amount of games to figure this out with Luka and like this new roster. I think it will actually work to their advantage that does Denver have to be a number 2 seed or a number 3 seed or like Denver already been there, done that. They've worked collectively with their group. I think for the Lakers, that's going to be, it feels like hopefully that won't be an issue.
Are you there tomorrow night?
Not there tomorrow night.
Gotcha.
No go tomorrow. I think one of the Clipper games is when I'll be there. They got the 2 games at Crypto. Okay. You there tomorrow?
I'm there tomorrow. We're doing the show.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Call me when you're done off the air, so I'll tell you some other thing you and I were talking about.
Thank you,
buddy.
Okay. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, Geeter. Bye. All right. That is Chris McGee right there of Spectrum SportsNet. All right. Good stuff right there. Man, that guy's a good freaking dude. He's a good dude. I enjoy talking to him a lot, on air, off air, just a really, really good person. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, but that is, that's a good basketball conversation there. We can kind of shoot the shit, but then we could also talk some good basketball right there as well. All right, let me look here. My bad, everybody. I haven't even got a chance to look at any of the comments so far today. I haven't got a chance to promote anything other than obviously Lakers basketball here. But let's get into a couple things here. John Mikalian. Geeter in the house. See sun stand up. I should have read that when he was here. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the super, and thank you for listening to the show. Francis, Geeter, where were you versus Denver? Man's got to take a day off too. Isn't that kind of funny? Of all the days, takes off and Denver's a big city. But I like his story of getting a chance to kick back and chill and enjoy it with some buddies. We got a mutual friend, him and I, Matt Unger, who maybe you guys have heard the name. He runs Lexus Santa Monica down in the Santa Monica area. But anyways, mutual friends there. Big Laker fan as well. So at least he got to hang out with some buddies and enjoy a game. That setup sounded phenomenal. Go to a buddy's house. They're outdoor. Weather was perfect. Watching Lakers. That's a good setup right there. I'm sure he was pretty happy with that. Okay, we still got a few things that I want to get into. Definitely a couple more Laker things I want to talk about. I want to do the weekend recap as well. Before we do so, I got to give a shout out to one of our partners here, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Great person who I know very, very well. Consider him a friend. He's been giving me some great advice, by the way, on the channel. He owns his own business, his own practice. I'm going to tell you a little about that in just a second. But he's one of the first calls I made when I left 710 ESPN to just kind of let him know that, hey, I'm going to start my own independent journey. And I'll never forget what he said. And there's a few people that gave me similar advice. A lot of them all business owners. That was basically, he was like, congratulations. I'm like, congratulations? I mean, this is daunting. This is scary. He's like, yeah, I know it is. But you're going to start your own business and you're going to learn a lot and you're going to go from there. And here he is now supporting me on YouTube just the same way that he was supporting me when I was at 710. If you or someone you know was in a serious injury, you should reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Let him walk you or your family through your legal options. I'm sure it's a very intimidating and daunting process. Let an expert in the field help you. He can help anybody in the state of California. Specifically, I will tell you this, and I hope you guys never have to reach out to him, but if you or someone you know has been seriously injured or is dealing with the loss of a loved one, you should find out what legal options you have. Of course, you deserve to have the absolute best in the business, and I could tell you firsthand, it's Brad Wallace of the Wallace firm. I'm going to leave his URL here. As great as it's been for him to support me, the channel, and the show, I also want to show him that being here is good business for his business. If you're ever in a situation where you do need legal representation, again, he could help anybody in the state of California. Let me make a personal introduction for you. You can send me an email and I can make that introduction, or you can just go on this URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com, and get a free consultation. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I'm coordinating with him. He's got a great studio out in Encino. I'm going to do a couple of shows live from there, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. Got to coordinate that. Him and I are working on some stuff, merch giveaways that we're going to do together. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. All right, let's keep looking at some of the comments here. Let's see what we got. A morning sleep, boss. Taylosh, thank you very much for the super. I greatly appreciate that. You know, it's funny when when we were doing the show, I saw a couple of the comments. Somebody there had very, very negative energy. And it wasn't even like about the Lakers or anything like that, just negative energy. I hesitate on whether to mute that person or to just leave them alone and let the chat handle the chat. And I felt like the chat handled the chat. So I appreciate you guys, obviously jumping in. And that, listen, I've taught you guys the environment that I'm looking for on this channel, on the chat. I'm just looking for, I want a place where people feel positivity, people want a place to hang out, and that's kind of the goal of it. So I appreciate the chat handling business there. Taylosh, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. Mitch Potter, it showed me JJ can make a hell of a game plan, even for a regular season game. Now imagine a playoff series worth of planning back and forth. God, that kind of gets me excited. You know, I'm going to tell you guys this. I love basketball. I love the game of basketball. I love good basketball. I sent out a tweet on the game Saturday night, and I think literally the only thing I tweeted out was beautiful basketball. That's all I put there. And I think sometimes that's all you got to, describe it. And that's not always associated with the Lakers. I think there are a lot of times we get a chance to watch Lakers basketball and we might be telling ourselves, all right, well, this doesn't look good. Or you're watching another team play and you're saying to yourself, how come that team looks that much better than the Lakers, or the ball is moving beautifully, or whatever the case is? I'm starting to watch good basketball that's enjoyable. And I think, Mitch, what you're talking about here, as far as getting a chance to not only see a good product, but also get excited about what the hell can this look like in the playoffs when the teams are adjusting. And it ain't just JJ Redick. You got one of the most brilliant minds to ever play the game in LeBron. What is he in a 7-game set being able to play off ball? I mean, I've said this a couple times since the game on Saturday. What was as impressive as anything I watched on Saturday night was LeBron playing off the ball, by the way. Yeah, no problem. Yep, you want me to play off ball? Sure, I'll go ahead and handle that. But it's going to be fun to see what a playoff series can look like. Let me see what we got here. I strongly suspect it's a loss with Anthony Davis. He's talking about if the Lakers played Denver on Saturday. Yeah, who would have thought Luka Doncic, who would have thought Nikola Jokic was going to play a game against the Lakers where he was 2 of 7 from the field and really was a non-factor? Luka was Jokic was a non-factor against the Lakers? Come on now. Doesn't make any sense. How can that be possible? Well, that's what happened. So whether, it would have been a loss with Anthony Davis or not, I don't know. But I do know the Lakers have played Denver a lot with Anthony Davis, and they were losing a lot of those games. By the way, they were also losing them with LeBron, with Austin Reeves, with Darvin Ham, but not with JJ Redick so far, and not with Luka so far. Thomas Crown, Lakers equals LeBron, Austin, Luka. Something to point out here too, something to keep in mind. It really just wasn't those 3 players, as great as they were. How good was the defense? How good were the other guys? How good was Rui on Saturday? How good was the blitzing using whether Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, whoever it was, Jackson Hayes? Everybody had a piece in that game. So yes, the big 3 were the big 3, but everybody else was contributing as well. We get through some more of these here. Nick T. Relax. Finally, Luka had a good game with acting like Jesus, came back to save us. LeBron doesn't get enough credit for his defense on Jokic and MPJ. Yeah, Luka was phenomenal. Let me tell you why Luka was phenomenal. He was phenomenal because it's the first game as a Laker. He was phenomenal. That's why he was phenomenal. But honestly, if he was still on Dallas and he had the same exact game and it was Dallas versus Denver, the Mavericks on the road in Denver, and he put up the same exact stats, it wouldn't be a big deal at all. Nobody would say anything. But it was because he was with the Lakers and it was his first real game as a Laker where you really felt his presence that you can sit back and say, oh, yeah, that was special. That was special. It was because of that. But the point about LeBron not getting enough credit, I agree with you. LeBron was excellent. He was excellent. And LeBron, what did LeBron say? I was doing a video yesterday, but LeBron had said something like, I'm naturally a wide receiver and Luka's a quarterback and he's going to find me, whatever. It was some kind of quote along those lines. And I remember saying, I'm like, LeBron's not just a wide receiver. You want LeBron to be a wide receiver? Wide receiver. You want him to be a quarterback? He's a quarterback. You want him to be a tight end? He'll be a tight end. You want him to go on the defensive side and play free safety? You want him to be a linebacker? LeBron can do it all. Not many people can. Nick T, thank you for the super, brother. Ernie, 76. I always say teams need 2 starts to win a championship. They have that in Luka and LeBron. Question, is the supporting team enough? They looked good on Saturday. You know, to be honest with you, Ernie, I'm going to have my hesitation on talking championship because you just have too small of a sample size to really know what this team's going to be. But I'll tell you the next 30 days, let's find out what they are. Let's find out. They get Boston. They get a couple against the Clippers. They get a couple more against Denver. They get Memphis. They'll eventually get Houston again. They're going to get games against really good teams. So I don't think we have to say that they're, a championship threat. But I think they could really be. I think what Saturday told a lot of Laker fans was, hey, they could be a problem. They could be a headache. I'm trying to see here. Do they got any more left with OKC? They got one. They got 2 late in the season against OKC. But to be honest with you, the Thunder will have already locked up the number 1 seed. I don't know what OKC is going to be playing and what they won't be playing as far as what players they'll be playing. All right, I think we got most of the supers here. So thank you very much for everybody getting into those supers. Let me get a couple more here. LeBron is cold, bro. It's a great watch and very informative. All right. I don't know if you guys were talking about me and I don't know what you guys are talking about there. Or no, this could be something else. There's a video on YouTube detailing how the Lakers game planned against Jokic. Channel is called Thinking Basketball. Okay, I like it. I think I watched it yesterday too. It was about maybe 15 minutes or so. That scheme on Jokic was genius. JJ did lose to Denver before. You're right. Earlier in the season, they lost to Denver. Did they win one and lose one? I know they played them early in the year. Or maybe they just lost. Let's see here. When did they play them? Oh, yeah, that's right. Lakers got handled that game. You're right about that. So I guess technically it's Luka that's the only one that doesn't have an L this year against Denver. Maybe you want to count Dorian Finney-Smith in that department as well. All right, let's see what else we got here. I want to give a quick shout out here. Right when we started the show, Durango became a new YouTube member. I'm going to put a link here in the chat if you want to become a MVP member of the channel. Yesterday, I did about a 1-hour special show for just members. Did a little Q&A action. I've done a couple videos now just for members. I gave away a Luka shirt yesterday from a member perspective as well. It's a great way to support the channel. So if you guys are in a position to do it, trust me, I'll do everything to make sure that you guys get that value of $3 a month. But it's a great way of supporting the channel. I would love for as many members to be a part of it. No matter what, I'm still going to do my regular content. I'm going to make sure I'm taking care of the channel. But please subscribe to the channel. And if you're in a position to be a member, man, I would love for you to be a member as well. I put the link there in the description. Okay. We got a couple other things I want to hit on, and then we're going to get out of here. Let's go back here. Let's do the. All right, let me find this here. Here we go. Weekend recap. Clear that off the way here. All right, let's talk a little bit about the weekend. So I kind of mentioned to everybody, and I'll throw this in here about the number 2 seed as well, because I know I put that in some of my notes. Very, very, how do I describe this? Very helpful weekend for the Lakers. Let's put it that way. I think helpful is the right way to put it. So I was looking at some of the games yesterday in the NBA. I got a couple things on the NBA. I got one thing on the MLS, and then we're going to get out of here. But good day for the Lakers on Sunday. Let me tell you all the teams that took an L on Sunday that helped the Lakers, okay? Mavericks losing. Well, I guess Warriors winning. Warriors, by the way, have won 4 of their last 5 games. They're starting to play good ball. 4 of their last 5 since Jimmy Butler came around. But Dallas losing. So you got Dallas 27 losses, Warriors 27 losses. A little bit more help yesterday. Pacers over the Clippers, okay? A little bit more help yesterday. Suns lost. A little more help yesterday. Grizzlies lost to the Cavaliers. Timberwolves lost to the Thunder. So you got to go take a quick look at the standings here. And I know I mentioned it with Geeter. Lakers got 21 losses. Houston's going the wrong direction. Clippers look like they're going in the wrong direction. You got 2 big games coming up against the Clippers. We all know that. Denver and the Grizzlies have 20 losses. Lakers have 21. They are right in the mix here. I mean, I'm not being dramatic or overhyping anything. A legitimate chance if things go your way, you start playing some, good basketball. I know Lakers are already playing some good basketball. You could be a number 2 seed in the Western Conference. That's not crazy. And then you could be playing, one of these teams that are fighting for a play-in spot. So we'll see what happens. I think what Geeter was saying about just getting home court advantage would just be phenomenal. Obviously, I think a lot of people would like to see that, but really, at the end of the day, it really just is so substantial to start a playoff series at crypto. I think he said it's been since 2012. I forgot about that. He's right. The Lakers have been on the road when they started the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs for X amount of years. So something to keep in mind there, but a really good day for the Lakers yesterday in the standings. I want to also mention one other thing yesterday. How random is this? I'm going to share this with everybody, okay? Yesterday, again, this is part of the weekend recap. Did you guys see this yesterday? Alex Rodriguez, yes, A-Rod, was taking a half-court shot to give a Bucknell student a chance to win $10,000. Watch this.
Rodriguez in the house shooting this 3-pointer for a student for $10,000 from half court.
What?
It in, rocking the house, benefiting Owen Garwood.
Look at the form.
Rodriguez in the house shooting this 3-pointer for a student for $10,000 from half court. He banks it in, rocking the house.
What the hell did I just watch? I didn't know A-Rod could play ball too. A-Rod hit a half-court shot to win $10,000 for a student at Bucknell. That's pretty damn incredible. And his form was on point. And how he did it, the guy spun the ball and stepped into it. And I don't know what the hell to tell you guys. That was freaking impressive. That was really, really impressive. That was phenomenal. All right, last thing I want to mention here in the weekend recap, then we're going to call it a day. Congratulations to my city, to my team, MLS, San Diego FC. Obviously, this is a brand new team in the MLS, makes their debut in MLS soccer, Major League Soccer, and it's the franchise's first game, which, I've talked to you guys a lot about this. San Diego just still completely heartbroken that they lost the Chargers. And, I'm not telling you that an MLS team is going to replace that, but just to have another professional team in San Diego is important. And I know soccer is not on that top 4 list, But their first game, San Diego FC introduced to Major League Soccer last night. They're playing at the LA Galaxy. So they're taking on LA Galaxy, which we all know they got 6 MLS Cups. And oh, by the way, I think got their rings last night for winning this past season as well. And SDFC goes up to LA and wins 2-0. So shout out to San Diego FC for being a part of the MLS. I think the market's going to be phenomenal for the MLS and great for San Diego as well. A lot of soccer fans in that market, but shout out to them also for getting that dub, getting that win. Just phenomenal. So that was cool. That was very, very cool to see. And, obviously, like I mentioned, important to the city. All right. The weekend recap, of course, like I always say, the preview and the recap is presented by the Wallace firm. Need legal help for a serious injury? The Wallace firm are proven trial lawyers. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa to learn more. Thank you for their partnership. Last couple things I'll mention here, and then we're going to get out of here. First thing I want to see, B is gifting a Hoops Talk membership, so somebody can capitalize on that. A lot of people have been gifting these, so I appreciate everybody doing that. And well over 100 members now as well, so thank you for doing that as well. Okay, just give everyone a quick idea what we got going on. A little bit later tonight, we'll get a preview video from Sammy. Lakers will be taking on the Dallas Mavericks coming up tomorrow, so we'll get that preview video ready to go. And then tomorrow morning, I'll be on at 8 a.m. We'll get the show started again, start talking a little bit more about that game against Dallas. And then tomorrow night, I'll be doing a post-game show as well. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. We went $120, almost $122. Thank you for being a part of the show. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Keep an eye out for Sammy's video a little bit later tonight, previewing the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. First time Luka gets to play his old team. Thank you to Geeter. Thank you to Chris McGee of Spectrum SportsNet. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview. Please subscribe to the channel. Would greatly appreciate that. And if you can be a member, would love for you to be a member. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday.